Virtua Striker 4 is one of those football games that makes the most sense when you remember where it was meant to be played. Not on a sofa, not on a handheld, and not as a long career mode at home, but inside a noisy arcade, in front of a dedicated machine, with a coin waiting to be turned into a few intense minutes of football. Released by Sega in 2004 and developed by Amusement Vision, Virtua Striker 4 belongs to a very specific tradition of arcade sports games. It is not trying to replace a full football simulation. It is trying to create an immediate, readable, competitive spectacle that can pull a player toward an arcade cabinet, explain itself quickly, and make the next match feel worth another coin. That distinction is the key to understanding almost everything about the game. The Virtua Striker series had already been developing this philosophy since the original game appeared in 1995. By the time Virtua Striker 4 arrived, the series had gone through several generations and increasingly sophisticated hardware. The fourth game appeared on Sega, Namco, and Nintendo's Triforce arcade platform, a system based on GameCube architecture and designed for arcade use. That background matters because Virtua Striker 4 is a product of the arcade hardware race of its era. It was built to look impressive at a distance, with large player models, international teams, recognizable presentation, and a camera that keeps the action. In an arcade, visual impact was part of the business model. A machine had to advertise itself before anyone had even touched the controls. And then there is the most important word in the description, arcade. Virtua Striker 4 is not merely a game that happened to have an arcade release. Its entire rhythm is shaped by the coin-operated environment. The player chooses a national team, learns a compact control scheme, and is immediately pushed into the action. There is little interest in making the player hours studying menus before the real game begins. The cabinet is the invitation. The screen is the advertisement. The coin is the commitment. The match is the test. In that sense, every match has a subtle economic pressure behind it. You are not simply playing football, you are trying to make your time on the machine count. This is why the game feels so different from FIFA or Winning 11, even when the basic subject is identical. A home simulation can afford to be patient. It can ask you to learn tactics, manage squads, adjust formations, and play an entire season. Virtua Striker 4 has a different responsibility. It has to be understandable in seconds, and exciting almost immediately. The controls therefore emphasize direct actions rather than an enormous vocabulary of football mechanics. Passing, shooting, tackling, and movement are designed around quick decisions. The result is football compressed into an arcade language. Position yourself, recognize the opening, make the input, and watch the result unfold. That compression does not mean the game is shallow. One of its most interesting qualities is the tension between accessibility and mastery. A first-time player can understand the basic idea almost instantly, but experienced players can develop a sense for timing, positioning, and the behavior of the passing and shooting systems. This is exactly what an arcade game needs. If it were complicated from the first second, casual players would bounce off it. If it were completely random, regular players would lose interest. The sweet spot is a system that looks simple from outside the cabinet but reveals more depth after repeated matches. The presentation reinforces that philosophy. Virtua Striker 4 is built around the fantasy of international football, and its selection of national teams gives the player an immediate identity. The attraction is not just winning a match, it is choosing a famous football nation and feeling, for a few minutes, that you are controlling its path through a tournament. The arcade format makes this fantasy unusually concentrated. There is no need for a 20-hour campaign to create stakes. The stakes are created by the machine itself. One match can be the whole story. The later Virtua Striker 2006 pushes this idea further. It adds a dash button that consumes stamina, more control over long passes, a preliminary match, substitutions between halves, and recognizable real-world player names, including Beckham, Ronaldinho, Zidane, and Shevchenko. These additions show how Sega tried to deepen the arcade experience without turning it into a conventional simulation. The game could become more expressive and tactical while keeping the fundamental promise of the cabinet intact. Pick up the controls and play. The visual design is equally tied to the era. Today, the character models can look stiff and the animations can seem strange compared with modern football games. But judging them only by modern standards misses their original purpose. In the mid-2000s arcade, the question was not whether a player looked photorealistic on a home television. The question was whether the machine could create a convincing three-dimensional football spectacle from across a busy arcade floor. Virtua Striker 4 succeeds because its presentation communicates football instantly. You see the pitch, the teams, the players, and the goal, and you understand the drama without needing an instruction manual. There is also something wonderfully physical about the experience. A modern player can run an arcade game through emulation, but the original context is fundamentally different. The real Virtua Striker 4 experience belongs to the cabinet, the buttons under your fingers, the screen in front of you, the sounds of the machine, the people standing nearby, and the knowledge that every continuation has a cost. Arcade football is social in a way that many home football games are not. Even when you are playing alone, somebody can be watching. A friend can challenge you. A stranger can step up. The machine creates a small competitive stage. Virtua Striker 4 is football designed for the coin-op floor. The cabinet, the coin, the crowd, and the short match are part of the game itself. It is arcade football first, and that is precisely what gives it its identity.